everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Her Playbook podcast with Devon and Jaden. We are so excited for this episode. We have a very, very special guest with us who's not only one of our best friends, but an amazing volleyball player. So I can't wait to get into it.
Enjoy the episode. Merrick McHenry is not only a standout men's UCLA volleyball player, an AVCA All-American, winner of the nation's top middle attacker award, and an Olympic hopeful, and NCAA champion. He is also one of the funniest, most personable people I know, and also our best friend. Merrick, thank you so much for joining the podcast and being our first guest on the Her Playbook podcast.
I love you both so much. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited.
We are equally excited to have you on this podcast because obviously Devon and I have gotten to know you over the years, and we're just excited for everyone else to get to hear about you and what makes you you. Because I think sometimes people can just see you on the court. Like, you're an amazing athlete and obviously an amazing volleyball player, but this is what this podcast is all about.
Yeah. It's
important for people to know the person behind the athlete. And I'm just so excited for this. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And we'll start with where you're from and how you got into volleyball.
Yeah, so again, thanks so much for having me here. That intro was pretty unmatched. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I'm from Dallas, Texas, Bedford specifically, right outside of Dallas. My mom played volleyball at Texas Tech, and from the time I was born, she was coaching a bunch of different clubs and just high schools and different things. So from the time I can remember, I was just kind of always at practice with her and peppering with the girl who didn't have a partner, or, if they needed an extra body, from the time I could keep up, I did. So yeah, a lot of it was just being around my mom and her teams, and also just I'm such a mama's boy, and I'm so passionate about my mom. So I think growing up, just wanting to be like her a little bit, and I'm the same position that my mom played at Texas Tech. So yeah, it's really cool, but it's definitely just all about just where I come from and what I was around and my upbringing. But yeah.
Like you said, you're from Texas and now you're at UCLA. So what was it like when you first were an incoming freshman, coming to a completely new state with no family here and kind of having to build a friendship group?
Yeah, it was definitely a big adjustment. I mean, you saw my tears. I had some texts from Devon just being like, how can this be better? I know you're homesick.
Yeah.
And but yeah, Devon, you were there for it all. But I think it was the best step for me. I think Texas is so different from LA, and it's so different just from UCLA, and that was super exciting for me. I wanted just the vastness that LA has to offer, and I also just wanted I wanted to feel like I could be myself, and I knew if I came to LA I could feel like more of myself, or kind of just explore who that was for me. I think it was the best step for me. I think Texas is so different from LA, and it's so different just from UCLA, and that was super exciting for me. I wanted just the vastness that LA has to offer, and I also just wanted to feel like I could be myself, and I knew if I came to LA I could feel like more of myself, or kind of just explore who that was for me. But coming here, I would say that it was definitely just super difficult at first. It was the first time I'd ever been away from home, been away from just my family and my twin sister, and I'm also just such a homebody. And the second I get somewhere, it's like, oh, I'm here. This is where I want to be. I'm comfortable. I'm in this space. And then the second I get taken out of it, it's just a super uncomfortable experience for me. Yeah. And that was definitely the first time I had that big change. Yeah. So it was just, my life looked completely different, but I also think it was the most perfect just opportunity for me to figure out who I wanted to be. And I think, being in LA ultimately just helped me really just be myself. But yeah, it was definitely a super nerve-wracking thing to make that jump, but I think my love for volleyball and just my desire to grow as a person is why I was okay with making that jump. Yeah.
Was there maybe a moment or a year where you were like, okay, LA is kind of my new home. It's not as much Texas anymore, but I'm so comfortable here.
I would say, so March of our freshman year is when COVID happened and everything kind of got shut down. So I went back home, and after COVID and that break, I think coming back and just being able to see my friends again and just be back on campus, that was kind of the moment where I kind of was like, oh, this is my home.
Yeah.
And this is where I want to build my life. And ultimately I had 18 years back home in Texas, and I felt like I'm so proud of being Texan, and I'm so proud of just where I come from. And I would not be Merrick without, you know, my upbringing, where I come from. But LA was just such such an opportunity for me that I couldn't pass up.
You're an LA boy.
Are.
It is like insane. Like you have changed. Like from the second you got to campus, it was like there was like this switch in you that was like, I'm gonna go out and Venice, Santa Monica. You just came from Laguna
I even
Beach.
tell you, I'm always like, Devon. It's honestly, I'm glad I wasn't born in LA.
No,
I would not.
You would be a completely different person.
Totally, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So going back to your freshman year, I know that you decided to redshirt. And for those that don't know what redshirting is, it's basically when you choose to not use that year of eligibility for yourself. And you're on the team, you're still practicing with the team, but you're not playing in any of the games. So I was wondering if you can explain a little bit about why you chose to do that, and maybe like who helped you make that decision.
Yeah, so redshirting, it was definitely a super different experience for me. And being from Texas, where men's volleyball just isn't too much of a sport, I kind of, you know, was just kind of always the best. And I was used to being the best, and being, you know, on one of the best teams, men's volleyball teams of all time. It was a completely new experience. And I walked in the gym, and it was, you know, just a lot more angst and pressure. And it was, oh, everyone jumps high, and everyone gets hard, and everyone does it. And it's not just me or another guy or whatever. So definitely, I think redshirting, I kind of came in, and I was also an outside in club was my position. And then I got to UCLA, and they wanted me to be a right side. So I knew I, you know, had never played right side before. So kind of just getting with Spera and having conversations of long term. Ultimately, like in that moment, it was super difficult because all I was thinking about was right now. I want to play right now. Like I want to be on the court right now. And speaking with Spera, our head coach, when making that decision, he was putting it in my head of this is about the long term, and like this is about going to the Olympics one day. This is about having like your like the best career that you can have here at UCLA, and kind of framing it like that really helped me. Just to feel more confident, as I know I'm going to have to swallow my pride a little bit this year, and I know I'm going to have to be okay with being in the back seat and just watching. But ultimately, I knew that if I committed to the process and I worked hard and I still showed up even when I didn't want to, I knew that eventually the dreams of starting and the dreams of, you know, being an All-American were going to come, as long as I made sure my freshman year just to kind of like put my head down and just do the work. And it wasn't fun, and it wasn't easy. And there were definitely a lot of times I called my mom and was just like, Mom, like I want to play. Like I don't want to watch. I didn't come here to watch.
Right.
And honestly, my mom was so good for me of just being like, Merrick, just like give it like 1 year, like give it 1 year, and like give it a year of also of being able to come back and have the opportunity to play. Like you're selling yourself short, and you're also just like giving up on an opportunity that you don't even know like what could happen yet. But yeah, it definitely was a journey my freshman year, and especially to all Devon included, and like our friend group, we're all starters, and I was just like the only one in our friend group who wasn't. So that was also just like a pill that I had to swallow and be okay with. But I think in the back of my head, I ultimately knew that once my time comes though, like
you'll be ready.
Game over.
Totally.
I think yours is so unique too, because we all knew from the outside, like when you were being redshirted, it was for such bigger reasons that like, I don't know, it's not really typical, because you're like so amazing at volleyball, and like you walked in being that way as well. And like, I think it's so important what you said, like you're coming in, like you came from a place where you're the best player, and that happens to every college athlete, is you come in being like, I just came from the best, and now there are like 20 people around me even better, better versions of me. And so I think it's so cool that you could acknowledge that. And also like the proof is in the pudding. Like you did wait that year, and then literally as soon as you stepped on that court, you made an impact. But you also brought up your head coach, Spera, and like we know that you have like an amazing close relationship with your head coach. And how do you think having that relationship and having a coach like Spraw has like impacted your time at UCLA?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for me, I'm such a personable guy, and I love relationships, and I love, growing with people, and that's just how I thrive, and I work best in environments when I have people around me. So I think when I was also just coming on going on visits as I was getting recruited, coming to UCLA, and even my mom felt it too, but just being around Spraw, we kind of knew that I was just going to have a relationship with him that was going to be different. And since I've been at UCLA, it's honestly been exactly that. Of Spraw has honestly just done a great job with me of really getting to know like what works for me and what doesn't, and what I want to hear and what I don't, or when I need to hear it and when I don't. Like, he made sure to do that first, and then after like he knew me is kind of when he really started like pouring into me. And whether it was just like coffee before practice or coffee after practice, or, just little conversations here and there, he's done the job of getting to know like who Merrick is without volleyball, and who Merrick was before volleyball, and who Merrick would be without volleyball.
Yeah.
And I think once I was able to really realize that, he's John Spraw. He has a lot on his plate. He's the coach of the national team. He's the coach of UCLA, and he's got a family and a life, but he also still is taking time out of his day to show that, he's not calling me about volleyball. He's calling me about life, and he's calling me about my boy problems, and he's calling me just about things that, I'm going through in life. And that was been like such a refreshing thing to know, that I have a coach who I know like he has so much, interest in me performing well in volleyball. And I know like he wants, me to achieve all my dreams, and he's going to help me in that way. But I think Spraw really does one day want me to be the best man I possibly can be, and he wants me to be the best Merrick. And I think when I really was able to understand that and see it, and it's not, I want you to be a great man one day, but actually being able to see like fruits and actually see, him acting that out, has just been super beneficial for me. And I think also Spraw's, when people think about the coach of the national team or the Olympic team, and you just see this bald head and this like big 6'5" scary dude, and he sits there on the bench with his like, straight face.
So
you just see that guy, but getting to really know Spraw and see that he's just a normal dude with feelings and emotions just like everyone else. Being able just to like see him as a person, I think has also helped me play better on the court, because it's not like, John Spraw, like I gotta impress Spraw. It's like, oh no, like that's John. Like we're good, But yeah, Spraw has been a really, really important piece for me in all of this. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's amazing what can happen when a head coach like invests time and effort into their players.
The whole person.
Right.
Yeah, the whole person. Like, it also just like affects the whole team. I feel like it affects the team culture too in a great way. And in the many, many years that I've been at UCLA, I've been able to see the progression of UCLA men's volleyball.
Yeah.
And
so true.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, in your opinion, how have you seen the team progress over the years, and like what makes the team special to you?
Yeah, that's a great question too, because so my freshman year, the year that I redshirted, and before COVID, stopped everything short, we were 10-9. That was our record. And then like the next year, I think we went like 16-5. And then every year it's just kind of gotten better and better. And then last year, obviously, we won the national championship and went 31-2. So I've, from 10-9 to 31-2, I felt like I've really, been on both ends of it, and I've kind of been able to see it all. And I've also just been able to see, like you said, the growth of a program, and like a program getting back on the map, and a program, being as successful as it, was and it used to be. And I think something that we've been talking a lot about in my 5 years here at UCLA has just been culture. And that's obviously such a big word, and it's like, what is culture? But for us, I think from UCLA men's volleyball standpoint is, how can we just like love our teammates better? And whether you're on the court, whether you're off, whether you're not suiting up, whether you're not traveling, like how can we as a team and as a program really me as a captain, how can we get our team, the coaches, how can we get our team to really care about each other and love each other? And I think that's something that has been just a constant theme throughout my 5 years. And I think having more conversations has been just, I think, the number one benefit that we've had is when we've had conversations, I think that's the time when we've been able to really like, okay, what are we struggling with from a team culture? Are there guys on the team that are butting heads? Is it, is there not enough communication from the coaches, and do the captains need to talk to the coaches about that? So I think that is the biggest thing I've seen, just a jump in from my freshman year to now, is just the level of conversations we're having, and understanding also that like people are going through stuff, and like people are anxious, and people are nervous, and people are struggling with their partner, and being able to like have those conversations and realize that like has been so beneficial. And I think also just doing our best to use SAC gym where we practice and use like our time in volleyball as almost like a sanctuary to get away from, which is like can be weird sometimes, but to use it as a sanctuary of getting away from whatever problems we're dealing with from the outside. But I just think that it has been honestly awesome to see, though, just because being a freshman and honestly being a little anxious on the team and not really like feeling comfortable going to like the upperclassmen, where I feel like, or I hope that the younger guys on the team, I mean, I'm sure they know that they can approach any of the older guys. And I just think that there is so much more unity in the team now than there was when I first got here. And like you said, it's just been super cool to be a part of, for sure.
That's like my favorite part about your team, I think. And there's like a couple men's teams like sprinkled throughout campus that have this, where it's like their team culture is so strong that like it takes away from like a toxic like male team like idea where like we have to be like talking in the locker room really disrespectfully, and like we can't be in tune with our emotions.
Alpha
and like
dogs.
Totally. And like they can't come to a teammate and be like, I'm having a really hard time mentally. And I think that is something I so respect about your team, and that I've completely seen the shift of, is that like I don't know if it was like that when you first got here, but I know for a fact that like you've had a direct impact on like how that team culture has been like really uplifted, and you've made it such a safe space for like the younger people and even people in your own class to like be able to come and talk to you about issues you're having. You can go and talk to them about issues you're having. It's just been really, really cool to watch. But you said it, you are a national champion. And
Thanks.
This is like, for those who don't know, this is like the greatest accomplishment a student athlete can have while still in college. And I have no idea what that feels like yet, unfortunately. But can you explain to me like what it felt like winning a national or championship, and like, I don't know, like what was that day like? What was that tournament like?
It's honestly like I just smile about it.
I know.
It was the coolest thing ever. I remember this right after we won, I FaceTimed Devon.
I know.
Y'all two were both in the room. I'm like, so excited. No, but anyway, it's honestly, it's just even the morning of, like you wake up and you're like, what's about to happen? Like what? I've never, like previously, like I'd been in like played in a Final Four, but I had never played in like a championship before. So, and we also were playing a team, who had won the past two. So we knew they had, they had the confidence. They knew that they could do it. But yeah, like the morning up, I just remember like feeling just like so like good, but weird, and just like what, like kind of out of my body. And I just remember like trying to nap like before and like being like sweaty and like just like nervous.
Nothing
and
like
then,
those nerves.
right. And then honestly, like the match, the only reason I remember the match is because watching it so many times after. But like during the match, I just remember being like, what's going on? Like I can't, like my body's just going. Like at that point, your body has just, I was just trusting my body and just letting it do what it needed to do. And then honestly, a big thing on UCLA men's volleyball is 1-point volleyball, and talking about like it's only about this point. It's not like let's win this set. Like, if you say that around Sprawl, he's like, do not say that around Sprawl.
You're gone.
This point. It's about this point.
Yeah.
So I think I just remember like during the match, a lot of it was just like playing 1-point volleyball, play 1-point volleyball, play 1-point volleyball. And then towards the end, like you kind of just get to a point where you're like, I think we're gonna win this, dude. Like, are we gonna win? Like, this might happen. And then I just remember like looking up at the ref and like seeing him point at us, and then all of a sudden I turn around and Coleman, who's like he's already like on top of me, and then there's just like more and more weight. And I just remember like being like, did that really just happen? Like, did that really just happen? And it really was like such an amazing moment, because it's in that moment too, you really realize like how important it is that like we need every single person. We need everyone from like our trainers to the people who don't travel to like our strength coach. Like we genuinely need everyone. Like we need our social media people. Like and in that moment to feel just the unity, and like it's also season's such a grind, and like people only see matches, right? They don't see us like dragging our backpacks into weights, and like they don't see that part. And to be at the end and like be like, whoa, like
we did it.
And it was honestly just like it just makes you want to smile. And like it was like you said, like, and especially me being from Texas, like I dreamed about playing volleyball, and like, oh, maybe like that could be cool. And then to be at UCLA and like to be winning a national championship and like being on the court, it really is like, honestly was everything I like thought it was going to be. It really was. And it really was just like such a me being thankful moment and just grateful. And honestly, it was one of the best days of my life.
Yeah, we weren't able to be there because we had our national championship too. Yeah, and so we're literally at our hotel room. Our entire team is in the hotel room, and we have the UCLA men's volleyball like championship on the TV, and you can like feel the electricity through the screen. I mean, we were shouting at the TV, like it was crazy. I'm surprised we didn't get a noise complaint, but like honestly, it was so amazing to watch. And I just like, speaking for everyone, I feel like we were all just so proud of you guys, and we know how hard you guys have worked. So it was just absolutely incredible to be able to see that. So we're still so proud.
Very, very proud.
It was amazing.
So switching gears a little bit, but for those who don't know, me and Merrick, like he said, we met freshman year, and we met in summer C session, which is like the classes you take before you're actually like at UCLA in fall quarter. And we've been attached to the hip like pretty much since that point. I got like a Snapchat message from him after we'd like seen each other and was like, "You want to get dinner tonight?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah." And then we did that, and it's been that way ever since. And we have been like this. And so I have been so lucky enough to see like how much you've grown as a person since freshman year. And I honestly think that you are probably like the person I've never seen so much growth in a person, even from freshman year to sophomore year. Like after COVID, there was an insane amount of growth. And to look back, like how I have my own take, but like how are you seeing the growth within yourself from freshman year to senior year?
Yeah, I think, like you said, like I see like memories of myself from like Snapchat and stuff that will pop up, and I'm like, I cannot believe that's me.
I know.
It genuinely feels so weird. But I think ultimately, like looking back, and it genuinely is, I think this is just me being myself. And I think like growing up where I grew up, a lot of the times, you know, just like being gay and being in a place like Texas, I think I just, you know, was super uncomfortable. And I also went to a Christian school, and I just think I was not trying to be myself, you know, I just was trying to hide, and I was trying to fit in. And I think coming to LA, and I think on like meeting you and meeting Lexi and Riley, and I think, and like even Cole, I think just being able to like see people care about me and love me, like when I'm being myself, and I'm like, oh, I'm not like trying to make my voice deeper. You know, like I'm not like trying to be all, you know, I'm trying to be myself, and there's people who love and care about me. And once I was able to see that, I was like, oh, I'm going to like see what this is about. And I think every day I just was like, how can I be like 1% more myself? Like, how can I get a little bit better and be more myself? And I think as time has gone on, like that's just helped with my confidence. It's just helped with how I walk around every day. And it like, honestly, like I sleep so much better at night knowing like I'm myself, and knowing that like I'm also myself, and there's people who love me, and they love me really hard and really well, and they care about me despite like, you know, things that I might not like about myself. But I think looking back, I'm just like so thankful, and I genuinely don't think I should have gone to any other school or any other place solely because of just how much I've just evolved as Merrick. And like throughout this time, I've really like, I don't know, just come to figure out what I like and what I don't. And like, you know, like what kind of people I want to be around and what kind of people I don't. And I really just value like my own peace and my own space. And I value like, I make sure like I see things, like only see certain things, and things I don't want to see, like I make sure I don't see them. So I think ultimately like I have just, you know, come to know myself enough to have things in my life that either, you know, are like pushing me to becoming just more like myself, or I think I've set up things in my life that, you know, are just blocking me from taking or from seeing things that could make me uncomfortable or make me frustrated or make me sad or think or whatever. So yeah, I think throughout these 5 years, like the number one thing I've done is really just get to know myself, where I think a lot of people get to do that in high school, and you know they get to date and they get to figure that out, and I didn't. So yeah, I definitely feel like I've just had so much growth from just being me and just figuring that out.
Yeah, I feel like college is such an important time for people, and it's amazing how much growing you can do in those years. And there's so many amazing things that come from it, but there's also some hardships, obviously. So for you being a student athlete, what's been the hardest part about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and I think it is super difficult. I think ultimately for me, it was just like the school part of it, and just like I'm not the smartest cookie. Like I'm not like
Me too. Me too.
So I think for me it was just definitely making sure to find the balance, and also it's like one of those things. It was also figuring out like what worked for me best, that like I was gonna wake up the next day and mentally be okay and be like, okay, but how can I be like, how can I go and still have a good practice? So I think for me, it was the hardest part was definitely just like keeping up with my school and figuring out like, okay, when do I need to start this paper so I get it done on time, and making sure like I'm not procrastinating and things like that. So I definitely say, you know, as a student athlete, just figuring out what works best for you and what doesn't. And also, you know, UCLA is pretty rigorous academically, and, you know, men's volleyball, we have a lot. So I would definitely say just working on balancing my school and my meetings and things like that has been the most challenging part of like being a student athlete. But ultimately, UCLA does have a lot of resources, and we have a lot of people we can go to and people we can ask for help. So yeah, it's all good problems, I'd say.
Yeah,
I think a good problem to have.
People also, it's hard to like look at a student athlete and be like, wow, like how are you, like you can get through your day. Like, you literally just have practice in school. But it's like there's so much that goes into those pieces. Like you could come off of a 2.5 hour practice and then an hour lift and then team meetings and film. And if you're having a bad day, like the last thing you want to go do is have to cook for yourself, go get food, and then sit down and go have to like mentally drain yourself more with homework. Like that was my biggest struggle. It was like, even in my sociology classes, I was like, I could not tell myself to go sit down right now and write a 6-page paper. Like, even if you might look at it and be like, it's the easiest thing I've ever seen, it's still like how much like mentally taxing things I've done today. Like I can't do that. But being a student athlete is also difficult, but even just like being in college, like a regular person in college is also really difficult. And what have you found to be something that's more difficult, just being like an 18 to 23-year-old, like alone by yourself?
I mean, I'd say like, honestly, like I said, I'm such like a relationship person. And I would say like, just, I think relationships in general are difficult. Like they're so beautiful and like they can be so fun, but I think they're so fragile. They can be so fragile, and I think, you know, relationships deserve to be, you know, dealt with care. So I think like the hardest part, you know, I've like had to deal with is just, you know, dealing with people and like dealing with like, you know, I've lost friends in college. I've made friends in college. Like I've been in love in college. Like I've been heartbroken, whatever. And I think for me, just as a personal person, those are the things that has affected my life the most. Like being heartbroken is something that like, oh, I can't, it's harder for me to go to practice when it's like, oh, school, like I have school, but I can go to practice, but I'm sad and I don't want to practice. So I think those are the parts that have been the most difficult, is like when how can I still try and be my best when I might be sad or I might be anxious, or like I can't stop thinking about this person. Like how can I still be my best? I think has been just like the biggest like journey I've, you know, been dealing with and working on in college. But I also think like it has helped me for the future. And it's ultimately like, I know what I want, and I know how I want someone to treat me, and I know how I want someone to speak about me to their friends. And there's just a bunch of things that I have ultimately have sucked when it comes to relationships in college. And I've laid in bed crying about it, or laid on Devon's couch crying about it. But ultimately, like I said, I think having those tough experiences, like being able to look at them now, and as I'm moving throughout my life and I'm talking to friends or partners or whatever, I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Or like, oh, that's not how I want someone to like treat me or whatever. So I think ultimately it's really just sucked, but it's really helped me for future relationships and really figuring out like relationships that I want in my life and relationships that I don't.
Yeah, I love that so much. That's actually amazing, and such a big part of college that a lot of people don't actually talk about a lot.
No, because it's almost like it's not like it's embarrassing to say. I don't feel embarrassed saying it, but like being heartbroken sucks, and like you never realize in the moment, and you also never know like how long it's going to take you to get over something. And so in the moment you feel like why am I not getting over this? And why is it also like affecting me on the daily so bad? Like you could be laying in bed all day and it's like people on the outside are just like, get out of bed, like go do your regular things. And it's like,
I'm trying.
No, physically, like there's nothing I can do right now. Like I am stuck to the bed. And like, I don't know. I think pretty much like I would say 90% of the population goes through that in college. So it's so like it needs to be talked about more, I would say, because people think like, I used to think I was crazy if I was like so sad about something that I was like laying in my bed all day. And like, it's not, that's a completely normal reaction.
Yeah. And there's no like, you can't just say, I'm taking this day off.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you got to show up every single day. And that could be really hard.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to transition to our next little segment that we love so much, the things we wish we knew about Merrick McHenry. We're really excited about that one.
Yeah, I love that one.
So, Devon, you want to start us off with our first question?
Yes, I do. Okay, so for those who have not seen Merrick play, and I'm going to insert a clip, he literally jumps out of the gym. His vertical is through the roof, and everyone knows this. Merrick, how annoyed have you gotten from all the people asking about how you get your vertical? And can you also answer it once and for all?
Honestly, so annoyed.
10 out of 10 annoyed.
All my Instagram DMs.
Yep.
Like, what's your workout routine? I'm like, ask Dawn Malone, our weight trainer. Like, ask her, dude. But no, it's funny. I get it. I get it. But ultimately, I will say a lot of it is genetics.
Yes.
I will say I have a very athletic father and a very athletic mother. My dad played football at Texas Tech, and my mom played volleyball at Texas Tech. So that is a big part of it, I will say. But single leg squats are great. Dumbbell single leg squats are great. Back squats are great. If you want to like jump higher, you have to work on just like the elasticity of you know, your legs, and just making them stronger. So ultimately, it's just about squatting and single leg squatting. Or just having athletic parents.
I love that. Okay, next question is, what's one red flag and one green flag you look for in relationships?
Green flag, called his mom.
That's awesome.
Red flag, so many.
Like, how do you pick?
He doesn't want to hold your hand in public.
Oh, good one. That's like a sunshine.
I was going to say has a girlfriend.
So we also said.
That was my first thing, and I was like, I'm not going to say
That's so funny.
Okay, what is a must-have post-game meal?
Must-have post-game meal. I love when we get what's it called? Fresh corn grill. Oh my gosh.
So good.
What is it? Sun-dried tomato pasta.
Yes.
Yep.
Add chicken.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Game over.
Yum.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
for sure.
me too.
For
Okay,
sure.
we're really excited about this question. On the UCLA men's volleyball team, who is the life of the party,
Okay.
the intellect,
Okay.
and the class clown?
Great question. I'd say the intellect is probably Guy Guinness. He is so big brained. Every time, like, we'll be about to warm up for a match and he's doing homework. So definitely Guy Guinness. I'd say the life of the party, if not me, is Honestly, like Sean McQuiggan.
Really?
Like he's just always like trying to like have fun and like do something. He loves that. So him, and then honestly probably Ito.
Oh, okay.
Be like
That's
he's
fair.
always in West Hollywood doing his thing. Yeah. And then what was the last one? Sorry.
Class clown.
Yep.
Class clown. I don't know. I'm pretty goofy, but
Yeah.
Grant Sloan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a goofy dude.
Yeah.
He's
So
goofy.
true.
He's
Yeah.
goofy.
Okay, last question. What is one piece of advice you would give incoming freshman Merrick?
Yeah. I would tell Merrick, one, I would first just tell Merrick, like, enjoy each day, like take it day by day. Like I think so much I'm always like, oh, I can't wait for this in a week and I can't wait for this in 2 weeks. I'm just like wishing my life away.
Yeah.
So I think I would tell Merrick just like take it a little slower and take it day by day. And then another thing I would tell him is just like something along the lines of like you're gonna be okay one day with being yourself and like in your own skin. And
I love that.
I love that too.
Aw.
We're so proud of you
Thanks.
too.
We are.
You really shine through. Thank you so much for being our first guest, and
course.
thank you to
I'm honored.
everyone watching.
Thanks everyone watching.
Yeah, keep it up with Her Playbook podcast on all social media channels at Her Playbook Pod, and also keep up with Merrick as he chases his final national championship at Merrick McHenry.
Yay. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.
thank you.